Good morning, my YouTube friends, and those that aren't my friends on YouTube, and those that are just happening upon whatever the hell I'm doing here. I'm um I'm back. A week ago I tried to do something like this, which is happenstance more than anything. Excuse me, and it didn't go very well. What ended up happening was I got very sick, and I don't know that I reported back to everyone all that well, but it turns out that that was a week after my surgery. I pulled out the stent. That's what I was supposed to do, and it turns out that I ended up getting an infection that kind of reared its ugly head when the stent came out. They also think that my ureters started going into spasms. Don't recommend it. Um, would not do again. I think that's the funny thing you're supposed to say. Anyway, here I am. I'm back at home today. I've been working all week. Went back to work Monday. It was a slow day Monday. It's a slow day today. I've got some stuff I got to do, both around the house and with my rig. I brought my rig home in case we get a call. Um, I left my rig at the yard on Monday and ended up getting called in and having to spend extra time going to get it. And so I decided to eliminate that possibility by bringing the rig home, even though I didn't have a specific job to do. My boss is working on finding me something to do, so I may end the stream abruptly because if he calls or texts with new work, I will be ending the stream and heading out to work. So this will not be a free for all or one of my 3 hour streams. I don't think. And I realize I'm up against some pretty popular shows, which is unfortunate, but and I wish those shows well. I don't want to be on top of them, but I also, this is the time I have to do a little bit of streaming and communication. And it's not something I often have a chance to do midweek, and I've been super tired. The little bits and pieces of time I've had when it might have been an opportune moment, I haven't had the energy to sit in a chair and talk to people, which is, for those that know me, something I usually have more than enough energy to do. I also feel like my goatee is like all over the damn place this morning. Excuse me, sorry. So I was starting to talk last week about a little project that I wanted to start, and I did manage to do this last week while I was off, and a little bit on the weekend. I've started to put together what I hope will be a book for people that are interested in the science and the life of a person living with obesity and what sorts of things happen and what sorts of studies have been done on interventions that can be done in this. And I've thought for a long time that maybe the biggest problem with the diet industry, which is something I don't like and something I will be writing about, and something I don't like about mass communication or pop science communication about this stuff. Hey, good morning, Tori. I find that it's oversimplified on something that's really complex, but it's not more complex than the average person can understand. And so I thought maybe I'd mix in a little bit of my life experience with the life experiences of others. And I think maybe as I'm saying this, I realize maybe what I need to do is have like a chapter or two written by or edited and written by in collaboration with some others. And I've already wanted to reach out to some others that are involved in the obesity patient advocacy and patient experience communities. And I've been trying to figure out how to do that. And I'm trying to sort of flesh out this book. So this is just something I've started working on in the last few weeks. I've been thinking about it for probably about a year about like what's the best way to do this. And I thought a book might be an excellent way to do it. And I've also been thinking, for people like myself that like to get their books through an audiobook format, I might do that, and then I might supplement it with some read throughs of some scientific papers that have been written that help people understand what's going on. So I might be able to help read and dissect some of those papers and explain what they're saying, what they're finding. And if this was to become popular, maybe like I would probably have to start like a separate channel for it. But because I don't know that I could brand myself as Al Trucker on this. Um, I think Al Trucker is kind of a fun place to get together and have chats about things that are not great, and things that are great. But also, it's a chance um, to look at things quickly. And I haven't done like a serious deep dive into anything. Oh, I'm glad to hear that, Tori. Yeah, I could see. See, the funny thing is, I see myself on the screen, which is a little disconcerting, but I do like that it's there, so I can see that the video stream is solid, and that I don't have like a giant booger hanging out of my nose. A little one's okay, but a giant one that would be horrible. Especially if somebody is like watching this in like 4K. I don't think there's anything worse than a 4K booger. Yeah, I feel a lot better than I did. I still have some minor irritation. I just took my last penicillin, or it's not penicillin, but I just took my last antibiotic this morning. I think it might have been amoxicillin, which is in that penicillin family. So yeah, I took the last one this morning. So that was a full week's course, 7 days. So it turns out that I didn't forget to take any, which is good. I'm pretty good at my medication taking. I have a lot of medications I'm on to help regulate certain aspects of my life. And then I won't go into a lot of details about my personal health beyond that. I've done a lot telling people about my urinary issues with the urinary system is what's hooked up to the kidney, and that's just where my issues are. And most people have two kidneys. I believe that's the standard. I have the one. And so a small kidney problem that would be an irritation for most people is a life and death situation for me in a short space of time. Not as short as it would be for heart or lung difficulties, which unfortunately I've had the lung thing happen. That is an extremely urgent emergency, whereas the kidney thing is kind of like you got 12 hours or so to figure shit out. I don't know if I'm far enough into the stream to swear, but who the fuck cares? I'm a trucker, and this is the way I talk. Um, I will. I'm not. I don't have a specific topic in mind, but I thought I'd start out addressing my health because I had a sort of a health a minorly urgent emergency. It wasn't a huge emergency, but I was trying to figure out how I was going to handle things. Um, I ended up I ended up calling and then canceling an ambulance. I was all alone. I was worried that because the last time I had gone, I didn't go into kidney failure, but I was worried that I was going to because of my symptoms being so similar, and I was worried that I might pass out from either the pain or from my body just not being able to handle things, or I might be in so much physical distress that I wouldn't be able to handle a telephone. And so I thought my safest bet was to get a hold of those people. I ended up talking to my boss too, who convinced me to try calling an Uber once I sort of made it through half an hour of not passing out, which ended up getting me better care, I think, in the end. So I canceled the ambulance, and so far that hasn't affected me in a bad way. But I'm not sure if I dealt with it correctly or not. And one never does know exactly how you should handle an urgent situation or an alarming situation. But when your body starts failing on you, even though it was like an acute situation that was solvable, if you recognize that something's going wrong, I do recommend that you take action. It's always better to take some action when you know something's going wrong than to take a chance that nothing's happening. I am a little bit concerned that it was over an hour waiting for the ambulance and they still hadn't come when I called to cancel it. But I did tell them that I'd call them back if things got worse. And I also told them that heart attacks and the like would definitely be more important than my situation. I just needed to figure out how to get some health care quickly. Um, so yeah, so I survived. I'm back. Been back working for a few days. I think I said that already. And it's been good. They've been shorter days. My boss has been really good to me. And there's disadvantages to working at a smaller company in a way, but advantages too, because my boss knows who I am. We talk almost every day. We talk about the jobs that are going on, and he's aware of my situation. I feel comfortable sharing with him what's going on, and I don't feel like um, he's not gonna ditch me because I'm sick. Some of the time, he's gonna work with me, and that really is a good place to be, because I feel like my previous workplace, um, they were somewhat supportive, and they weren't terrible, but I think in the long run it wasn't good. Hey Top, good to see you. I've seen some of your RC videos come across my feed, and I know we shouldn't talk about the meta of YouTube, but it is interesting how few videos I want to see come up in my feed, and how many I don't really want to see come up in my feed, and then the problem is that I'm the kind of guy that'll click on something that's meant to make me click on it, and I should look away. But I'm like I I'm just not. I'm not a mature person. So when somebody shows me something that I think is going to be funny or weird or whatever, I'll click on it. But it's not necessarily what I wanted, and a lot of it's just clickbait, and I hate clickbait. And I know better, but I sometimes just go for it anyway. Um, and I mean, it's usually just vehicles and boobs, or vehicles or boobs, or vehicles and boobs together. It doesn't really matter. They know how to get me to click on something to see what the fuck is going on. And yeah. Um I mean, boobs. Cheers. Um so I thought I'd talk about a couple of things that have been floating around in the community, and I thought about talking about some of the serious shit going on out there. Not gonna do a deep dive. I'm gonna say I'm very, very proud of and happy to see the No Kings protest in the U.S. I think telling the government that you're not happy with how it's behaving en masse is excellent. I think that given the current situation in politics, and the different legislatures in the U.S. the way they are right now, the lack of urgency on behalf of the current administration to address major issues for its populace is concerning. And I could go on and on, but I'm not really a political commentator. For the most part, I have political opinions. I'm interested in policy and policy making in my country, and my neighbors are one of the biggest countries in the world, in not in terms of population, but in terms of their economy and their influence. And despite the fact that I have lots of friends and family there, I think that the best option would be for my country to just cease all business with them until they come to the table, um, like adults, instead of a bunch of whiny toddlers. Which is not what the populace is. That's just who ended up getting elected into power, and it kind of sucks. And I have done a couple of political rants in the past. I'm not going to do one today. I'm just going to say, here's to it. No kings. Got to keep that idea in mind. That's really important. So I'm going to talk about a couple of other things. I want to get people's opinions on it, and then I also want to find out if anybody in the community that has some really good ideas on stuff I should work with. And I had a chat with a couple of friends with private chats. I won't say who they were, but I had a private chat with a couple of friends, and realized that maybe my approach to things in the past hasn't been perfect. Oh, hey Coco, good to see you. And Tori, I did not know you were 42, and that is the best age to be. I was 42 for a whole year. Um, I'm quite a bit older than that now, but you have a sense of humor of a 13-year. Like, you know what? Like, I mean, at a certain point, we all have to admit that there's just a few things that we all find attractive slash funny slash alluring slash sexy slash whatever. I mean, there's just I mean, the best way to have a situation is to sort of combine all the best things. Um, and I never watched the show when it was on. As far as I know, it might still be on. I don't think it is. There's a Canadian show called Letterkenny that I've seen a lot of clips from, and it combines a lot of really lowbrow humor, I guess. But I mean, what is highbrow humor anyway, other than just people using multisyllabic words to make jokes? And I know some multisyllabic words, including multisyllabic. So, you know, my lexicon is deep and just like me has a tremendous amount of girth. But that doesn't mean I don't find tits funny. And there seems to be this sort of the algorithm pays off for those who follow the rules, and the rules are be a little bit sexy, be a little bit funny, and drag people in. And that Letterkenny show it's kind of an in joke because like a lot of the speech patterns and the behaviors and mannerisms and things are sort of very Canadian, but I think people find them amusing anyway. In the same way that I can watch stuff from other countries and find it amusing. I've even found some American humor funny. It's possible. And like the Irish, the British, the Scots, they all have their own brand of humor. Even a lot of people don't know this, but the Germans also have a sense of humor. It's just they hide it so well. And I hope I'm allowed to say that since I'm quite a bit German in my ancestry. I don't know if like does that actually give you the license to be like that? Hey, Journey, you finally caught me live. And the ladies like girth. Yeah, I can only imagine. I can only imagine. I'm not going to make any personal references on that regard, but I am. That's how I am. Um, yeah, what I lack in height, I make up for in girth. That's really all there is to it. So yeah, I've enjoyed watching Letterkenny clips because they sort of do funny shit, and it's fun. I think we should have fun. I think we should have some amusement in our lives, and we shouldn't have all um, just super serious conversations about everything. And that's one of the things that can weigh you down. And I've realized a lot in sort of being off sick again for a short time, and thankfully not for a long time. Um, this time around, being sick again has given me a chance to realize like I spend a lot of my time mired in what is quite serious, what is concerning, and it's stressful. So, I spent a lot of my time worried about my own personal finances because of last year's illness and, working as hard as I can to make up for it. And that's stressful. And, I had an appointment with a new doctor to me this week that works with people that I know from the past, having had them as a doctor, and then that doctor actually is someone I work with in the obesity medicine sphere. So it's that I'm not gonna hide it. I'm seeing an obesity doctor. I'm seeing someone who's in bariatrics, and so I'm gonna get some help from them. And they've sent me some information, much of which isn't new information, but I'm gonna spend some time reading through it. And I'm not sure if I'll start a new channel to deal with this or not, but I may just use this channel to do like a few little sort of weekly diary check-ins or something like that. I might do something like that because I'm going to using their help. I'm gonna look at where I'm at. And I'm gonna make some changes to my life. Hopefully, they will be helpful in losing excess adiposity and increasing my health. And it's been tough to sort of be stuck at a plateau, but the same plateau that I'm at is where I always seem to land. And so after reaching my highest weight ever at about, I think it was 405 pounds, but I can't remember. I sometimes look it up, but I often misremember the exact number. But I think it was 405. And then getting down to where I'm at now, I've lost a fair amount of weight. Somewhere between 70 and 80 pounds I've lost, and so where I sit now, is kind of been a point where my body doesn't make a lot of changes, up and down. Maybe 5 to 10 pounds, but that's usually like a swing I can see in the course of a day. And so, if I sort of redouble my efforts, pay way more attention to my food intake, and adjust it, which is what I'm going to work on this coming weekend. They sent me some information, and they also have a free sort of group that you can join where they do some education and question answering. And a lot of this stuff is stuff I know. And the doctor, talks to me about that. It's like this is stuff you're really well versed in already. It's not like it's new information, but knowing something and doing something are two different things, right? So I'm going to look at that, and I'm sharing that because I'm wondering if anybody would find it interesting to follow along with me on this, or whether that would just be boring, because there's a lot of people that do these, like, follow me in my body change whatever. But I'm willing to share some of that if people are interested in it. And in this book that I've started writing, and I did start writing it. I started writing out some chapters. I've made an outline of the book, what I want to share, and I've shared it with a couple of close friends to get their input. And I'm planning to reach out to those that I work with in the education and advocacy space, and see if they have any thoughts on it, including like whether I should bother, because, like, I don't know if there's a market for this. But I'm looking at a lot of issues in my life, and, like, if I could add streams of income, that would be really good for me. So I'd really like to. I want to look at where I can make some extra money, and people seem to like the way I write. People seem to like the way I speak. I mean, I've managed to somehow drag 5 of you in here to listen to me, which is amazing. Because who the hell is even around at like 10 o'clock on a Thursday? I think, yeah, it's Thursday morning. Usually at this hour of the day, I'm probably the average Thursday. I'm loaded up with something and taking it from place A to place B, but you never know. And then, so if people are interested in this, but then you can't sell a book that people don't want to read. And you're fighting against an industry that is pushing, celebrities are pushing stuff. So people that people already know are in there doing this. And that's something I want to write about in this book, is like how much of a deleterious effect it's had on my life to participate in the diet industry as a consumer. And now I want to write a book that isn't a diet book. It's not about what you should do. It's about what you should know. It's about what you should know as a patient, and what you should know as a healthcare provider about patients, like where they're coming from. And I think if something like this is digestible as a book you can just read through, but it's also a book that I'm going to back up with citations from medical papers, some of which I've already read, and some of which I've heard of and haven't dove into, but I'm going to. I'm gonna do a lot of research and reading on this, and I'm hoping something like that, presented in that way, would be something people would enjoy. And as I said at the beginning, I'm thinking about, maybe starting a different channel where I just break down what medical papers say, just using my giant brain that's in this giant head here, to read words, understand what they mean, and help people understand what they say. Because a lot of us, myself included, are busy doing whatever it is we do for a living, and we live with a disease or condition, and we don't have time to read these things. Hey, good morning, Dave. Good to see you. We don't have time to be as well educated as our doctor, our nurse, our whoever we're working with. There's lots of people we work with, and we rely on them to be experts. We rely on them to be telling us what's what. But if they're not a specialist, they typically aren't super well read on these individual things. And the ones that want to be show up to conferences that I go to, which I'm hoping to go to more. I'm hoping to increase my involvement, if they'll have me, because I've realized I get more fulfillment from doing that than I do from so many other things. Like, driving a truck is fun. I enjoy it. Sometimes it's a lot of work, sometimes it's a pain. But generally speaking, it's not so bad. Um, and even on the most difficult days, the most infuriating days out trucking, the stress is really low for me. Um, But that's not that passion I have for working with machines and stuff like that is great, and I get to do a lot of that. But I'm also fueled greatly by meeting and interacting with people that have a similar goal to mine, and that is to increase the quality of life for people that live with disease. And to eliminate disease is a great goal. It's not realistic. So most people that live with a disease state are going to have to face whether it's a disease state that has an endpoint, because there are some that are like that. And I hope the best for those folks. But then there's other disease states that are sort of, you can only control them. You can't actually eliminate them. You can't make them not happen. And so for me, one of the things I live with is type 2 diabetes, which I control really, really well so far. Um, oh, Journey, what are you saying? Oh, you're about to promote this on Twitter. Oh, my Discord, right now, Journey, my Discord is not, I don't think it's officially not public, but my Discord right now is more of a private chat room for a small group of people. Um, And I think I would make a separate Discord channel if I was going to do that. But I appreciate it, Journey. That's so nice. And Journey also chimed in that they also are with the sense of humor of a 12-year-old. Because I think the thing is, humor isn't about age. The in jokes change, right? The um yeah, thank you, Journey. I appreciate getting a shout out. And Journey is I don't think anybody here doesn't know this. I'm not good at changing people's name. My unfinished song, I think, is also my unfinished journey. I've confirmed that to make sure it's not just a my unfinished copycat. And I shorten and truncate everyone's name, and I also just don't deal well with change. So I just stick with the old things. I grew up in a city called Toronto, and there's a theater there that I've been to several times and even worked in at one point when I was a contractor, and I call it the O'Keefe Center. It was at one time it was at one time called the Hummingbird Center for the Arts, and then it changed names again. I've never looked up what it changed names to, but it was named after a beer company that sponsored it, and I just call it that. And I don't even think Carling O'Keefe, I don't think's even still around. Hey, Maya is here, and my unfinished sandwich. Hey, Spooky, ghost emoji. And I guess when I'm on StreamYard, I think I got to switch to the other thing that people are using. Maya, I got to get you to send me a link to how it works. Um, I'm pretty sure Maya and the Kentucky Atheist both use something called EvaMux, and I want to try that and see if it's better than StreamYard, because StreamYard is kind of a pain. Um, and I also don't know, like, am I coming? I'm just curious. The unfinished copycat. That's a good one, Journey. Um, cheers if you if you end up doing that. I'd love to see it. And I'm drinking water because I'm being super healthy. I was told I should start intaking a lot of dihydrogen monoxide. It's great to see you, Maya. If you don't know Maya, then you're not in my chat, because Maya has way more subs than I do, and oh, okay, 100% better than StreamYard. Yeah, okay, Maya, maybe when you get a chance, I know you got a lot on your plate these days. If you get a chance, if you could send me like a link to like how I get onto that, um, and then maybe I'll talk like you and some other folks into coming on to a little stream with me at some point. I did do a post. I am so close to 200 subs. Beyond the nine, this is get my a 19. Yeah, I don't even have the 19 right now, but maybe in a couple of months I'll be in better shape and I can do something like that. Um, I think I need to look at and there's so many people that need funds these days, so like I don't even want to put up a thing, but I think I need to look at um I hope it's not considered e-begging to put up like a way that I could like earn a little bit of money doing some content, and maybe hopefully I can make content people actually want to watch. And this is the main reason I'm going to do the show right now. Or what I'm going to talk about in the show is what I want to do going forward, which is going to be so an idea I got from talking to a couple of friends in the community, which is to look at doing collaborative things. And I got to think about this harder, and I got to do a better job of doing it. So, and this will be about AI and AI content, which is something I've done quite a bit of, and I'm going to talk about that, and I'm going to talk about what's good and bad about it. And I want people's opinions on that. So that's what this stream will end up turning into in just a minute. I might as well e-bag everyone else's. Yeah, like I guess I got to figure out how to do that because I don't have a monetized YouTube channel. I do have like a PayPal, and I know some people put in like their PayPal link and stuff. So if that's something I should do, if you want to comment and say, "Hey, would people be willing to like give me $1?" And then I would use those dollars to buy, yeah, well, the Evamux, like something to make my content better. I would be happy to do that, and also I'd be happy to use the funds to, well, buy myself a coffee every once in a while, but mainly what I'd like to do is to use it to help promote some content for myself and some other makers in the community. Everyone has Cash App. Okay, Maya, this is good information. Maya, since you and I are friends outside of just YouTube chat, I will hit you up for some tips on this, and I'll figure out how to do it, and then I can put it in there. And if people feel like donating to the cause, it'll help Al Trucker make more Al Trucker content. So, so I'm going to get into something that I'm going to start out by saying first and foremost, the songs that I write and make, I have made all of them for myself. First and foremost, I want to say that I've been trying to like push them and show them a little bit here and there when they're relevant and they touch on a subject someone else is touching on. Oftentimes I find it's like, I wrote a song about that. Here it is. Would you like to listen to it? Because I just like to get my watch hours up. But there's a problem with the content that I've made. And so a lot of times, I think most of the folks I see here are folks that are regular viewers, but people may watch this in the future. They may stumble upon this. They maybe wonder who the fuck is Al Trucker and what the fuck is he up to? And the fuck is, I've actually seen other people use the fuck recently. It's come up in my feed. So I think people are aware that fuck is the French word for seal. And so I've got that in my logo. You can see it in my little avatar, and I made that with AI. So here's the problem with AI. AI doesn't get work done by real artisans, and I'm not paying real artisans, but I'm paying a very small amount of money, and I've stopped paying. I don't have the money anymore, so I've stopped paying into it. So I haven't been making stuff with AI, but AI has let me sketch out my ideas and see what they'd sound like. And so when I was off last week, it was a lot. Yeah, last week I was off sick, and so what I did with some of that time was I listened to some of my AI songs, and I went back and listened to some of the ones I first did where I sang it myself. I used my own voice, which, um, and apparently my voice is great, and my wife wants me to start doing voiceover work or voice acting, to make some money. So I got to figure out how to get equipment that could do that. That would cost me money too, but maybe it's a good investment. Hopefully people would enjoy it. But when I've written a song, it's come out of my own heart and mind, if you will. Something catches my fancy. Somebody says something, does something, makes a video about something that I find either insanely funny or stupid, and it inspires me to write some lyrics. And a lot of times, what it is, I'm doing the Weird Al thing. I'm hearing somebody else's lyrics in a popular song, and I'm like, those words kind of rhyme with the idea that I have, and then I write out like, and I call myself the weirdest Al sometimes. So yeah, so as a weird owl myself, I've been writing these out and I write out the lyrics. But the problem is I do not have a very musically talented personages. My voice is loud, booming, and I'm apparently a pretty decent orator, but I'm not a good singer. And maybe I could learn to be, but I just am not. I have not been doing a lot of singing since junior high choir. I think it's the last time I sang in front of anybody other than my family, who tells me, "You just need to stop, Dad. You suck. Please stop singing." And so an AI thing, like I think it's called Suno, is the one I was using. It let me write those lyrics out, tell it what kind of music I wanted it to sound like, or what kind of band I wanted it to sound like, and it would produce a few sketches. And a lot of times before I got one that I could play, I would spend maybe 2, 3 hours having it do different things. With the paid app, you can sort of do quite a few. I mean, you can do, I think, something like 3,000 songs per month, per 30-day period or whatever. And so yeah, it's not bad. I mean, if you work it out for the amount of time I have to put into it, the that package worked for me for a short time, and it was relatively cheap. I think it was $18 a month, and I think they were raising the price, and I didn't have any extra cash, so I got rid of it. But here's the thing: I did the same thing with AI art because I can do art. I'm not totally untalented with visual arts, like things like drawing and painting and modeling and stuff like that. I have some talent in doing that, and I did study that in high school to a degree. I even applied to art school. I don't know if I've ever shared that here. I know I've shared it with some friends. Um, but yeah, I actually applied to go to a fine arts university in Canada here, and they didn't take me. I only applied to one. I applied to other things that I wanted to do. I ended up getting into a program after I'd already decided to work with my dad full time for 5 years, and I didn't follow that path. So I ended up being a contractor. So I know a lot about contracting. You did a short that you put up on Twitter and Blue Sky. I think you probably put it out. Yeah, definitely. Journey, share your stuff because I'm not on Twitter anymore. I canceled Twitter. But I have a Blue Sky. I just hardly ever go on it. I have one friend on a mutual platform for it's Rob. What is Rob's channel called? Professor Rob Parks, who's an astronomer and physicist. Um, a mutual friend there, Adam. I'm gonna screw up pronouncing his last name, so I'm just gonna say Adam's on Blue Sky, and he shares stuff on there. I don't know. I don't know, Maya, if Twitter still exists, but I mean they call it X, but yeah, it's X platform. I think is maybe what it should be called. I hate it. I hope the bottle crunching isn't super loud. It's bugging me, but so here's my thought is that I need to get out there and find like-minded creative people, people that have a good singing voice, people that can play the guitar, people that can play the mandolin, people that can play the stand-up bass. I've always wanted to learn how to play bass guitar. X is a Nazi bar. Yeah, it really, you know what, Maya, it is really, sorry, my beard is really bugging me today. I think it's just the way the light's hitting it. Um, it's not physically bugging me. I just don't like seeing it. The light is fucking me up here. And I've never called it X in my life. Other than to say, yeah, like Twitter's that's that thing they started calling X. I talk about it, but I don't say it's on X. I say it's on Twitter, and Twitter fucking sucks. And Journey and Meyer are calling it out here. It's fucking bullshit. Um, so yeah, that's actually I was talking about like how my brain is easily tricked into clicking things with vehicles and boobs in them. And I remember when the first couple of weeks after that after that weird dude with the car company and the rockets bought it, I guess he just like turned off all of whatever filters. And I remember it was just straight up pornography. Like there's no there's no two words about it. That's all it was. People just started posting all sorts of stuff, either directly putting content on that was full nudity, and I'm a big fan of nudity. I'm a big fan of the industry in general. When it's done right, it's got lots of great stuff in it. I'd rather get what I'm looking for my own way than to have people just send it to my account. And maybe I'm looking at it wrong. Maybe I need to, if I had more money, I could probably like, subscribe to something that would give me curated content that helps me when I'm looking for it. But I was never on Twitter for that reason. Twitter was, I thought, more of a place to share. I thought it was to share ideas and stuff. Like I used to use it to share information with the medical community that I work in, back and forth, and find out about new things. And it was kind of a great place to say, hey, there's some new stuff coming out, or I'm going to be doing this thing, or hey, there's a conference coming up, and it was kind of used as like kind of a news board for stuff like that. And that's not the way it went. Um, things got fucked up. So I don't know if they cleaned it up, but I basically was just like, I'm out of here. I'm not doing this. I'm just not doing this anymore. Um and it wasn't that was that, like, if it had only been naked bodies, I would have been like, okay, I can scroll past naked bodies. But when it came to like the hate, the racism, the misogyny, the absolute hatred of groups of people, um I was just like, this is fucked up. I'm out of here. It took me, I think, about a week and a half, 2 weeks to like realize that it was no longer a place that I could spend any time whatsoever, and I just got rid of it. Um and I'm sure someone could go look that up and call me on it and tell me I didn't click cancel soon enough, but yeah, I did what I did. Um and honestly, it was never one of my favorite platforms. One of my favorite platforms still is YouTube, not because YouTube is great or anything, but it contains the content that I'm interested in, the community I'm interested in. That's folks that are here now, folks that'll watch this in the future, and people that hang out with Dave and Maya and Journey and Top and Tori. Like, all these people hang out with the same people I hang out with. Spooky. Um, and I'm missing people. Coco and I've had some great conversations. Um, these are all people that I enjoy spending my downtime with. And also when I'm driving, I enjoy listening to their shows. I'm often listening from the background. So going forward, I want to look at some of the songs I've made and say, like, work with people? Could I work with people that want us to communicate the ideas we have that are either pro or against things that are happening in our society that we think we could make better by changing people's minds on things? And I hope that we could do that. I hope that that's a place we would get to. Um, but until then, like, sort of sketching it out really cheap in AI is kind of what I've had to work with. But I do feel bad about the fact that it could be a better quality product. It would have more it would have more emotion, it would have more tone in the music and all of that stuff, right? Oh, are you on Purple's channel? Awesome. Journey, I haven't been on Purple's channel for a while, like a few weeks at least, and I need to do that. And Tori says, this is a really interesting thing that Tori says. Have I considered going into nursing? Tori, I have never considered going into nursing. Not for 1 second. I am not a people person. Um, and I gotta say, I love nurses. Um, I have I have been so well treated by the vast majority of nurses I've worked with, and I have had to be nursed, if you will, by so many great people. And the men and women that have treated me in hospital and in other places has really, um, it's been something that you hear so much from people that have been patients for medium and long term patients in healthcare. All have this same thing. Like, nurses are absolute heroes in healthcare, and the nurses I speak to at conferences are some of the smartest, most erudite people in any healthcare topic, including, I know nurses in our um, in our work in dealing with diabetes and dealing with obesity, and there's other related comorbidities that I haven't been as involved in, but cardiovascular health, liver health, the kidney and diabetes, and kidney disease are intimately related. And I have met nurses who are PhDs. They've spent so much time and put so much personal care and effort into knowing about this that they have returned to school after having a nursing degree, which is no small feat, and then gone and then become um, so well read that they've created new academic content, which is really that's kind of the it's a very very short sentence to say what it is to be a PhD is to actually do something new in the science field that you're studying and give something new to it. And I have been a co-author on two scientific papers. It's quite a thing. Yeah, and I can't. the one I'm thinking of off the top of my head because I read something they wrote the other day, and that's not the first one I've run into. I'm not even sure that they were a PhD in nursing. I think they were a PhD in another branch of science, along with being a nurse. And Commander, welcome. Great to see Commander here. I think the last time, one or two times ago that I was streaming, people asked me if I'd seen or heard from Commander, which I had. But yeah, it's great to see you, Commander. I'm glad you're here. Um, and I'm being distracted by the fact that an online video game I play says that our alliance is under attack, which oh, Commander, you don't need to be. No one needs to apologize for dyslexia, or as I like to call it sometimes, less Dixia, which I think is the proper way to say it. And hopefully that's not coming off as offensive. It's meant in good fun. Um, that's the Dutch flag, isn't it? I don't know. Are you in the Netherlands? Is that what you're saying? My eyes as I've gotten towards being 50 years old have gotten to the point where I cannot read things. Um and oh, Maya is already sending me info. I should not allow myself to be distracted. But I'm doing this on my phone because my son's computer that I've commandeered many times no longer shows my face, which some would say is a major improvement. Anyway, Maya just sent me a message which I really appreciate. I appreciate this is already a collaborative environment, right? Um okay, I did not know that you'd made it to the Netherlands. I'm assuming you've probably met up with Brainless if you've been there. But maybe you have, maybe you haven't. I don't know. Anyway, say hi to Brainless for me if you run into him. The Netherlands is a really small place. I've never been there, but I've looked at it on a map. I believe my average day involves traveling more than the distance across all of the Netherlands, and that's usually just to get to my first stop to grab a coffee. So I'm joking. The Netherlands is more than 3 square kilometers, but it's a small country. Europe is funny that way. Same with like traveling through eastern USA states. Even the Canadian provinces in the East Coast are pretty small compared to like Ontario, Quebec, and the prairie provinces. You can drive across them pretty quick, but they're tall, like on the map. They're the north is big. You haven't been doing much online because oh, okay, all right. So yeah, you're trying to get a permit to stay there. Okay, that's really cool. Well, I'm glad to hear that you've found a safe place to be in the short term and maybe the long term because I know you've been having a rough time. Um, and that's one of the things that bugs me. But one of the great things about our community is that we have people that are quite vulnerable, and I consider myself among them. It's for different reasons, and that's one of the things I'll talk about in the book I'm writing, and I'll talk about that a little bit right now. Um, I'm going to talk about it right now because it's something that came up on. I want to say I think it was one of Ember's streams. She was streaming about something that I find it really interesting. It's something I've been writing about already, and I've been trying to figure out a way to write this um, without coming across in a way that I don't mean to, and that's one of the toughest things that I've found in communication is that if you try to if you try to look at things from a different point of view, it can be seen as a competitive view with another group. And that's something I wish didn't happen because I think that um, things can be also true. Um, and I think it was. I'm now certain it was something I was listening to while I was driving. Ember was doing a show about body image stuff, particularly how women's bodies are seen in society and how they're treated. And this is something I've always found an interesting thing because men's bodies are also judged quite heavily. And because I have a body that nobody wants me to have, I've felt this pressure many times. This is something I will definitely be writing at least a full chapter in my book about is body image. And I think I might write one about male body image and see if I can get at least one or two female perspectives, maybe ones that draw on a meta analysis of female perspectives, but also written from their perspective. I'd really like to have a female point of view on this, but as a male, what I constantly hear is how hard it is for females to live in large bodies, and it is for certain. I don't even doubt that it's harder than it is for me. I want to talk about how it's just also not easy. And just because something is really hard for me and even harder for someone else does not diminish how hard it is for me to deal with. And then at the same time, I'm speaking for many men. I've had this conversation with men more than once who live in large bodies, and what we've realized is that we've been told to not feel that pain, and just pretend it's not there. Um, and it's something that bothers me, not because I don't want women's plight to be highlighted and seen and understood. It's important to understand that, but it's also important as we see this sort of weird attitude to men coming out. Um, and I think this is something it's in reaction to really shitty opinions that men are developing from talking to people that have really shitty opinions or have monetized shitty opinions and are now trying to get them to have them. We now have this thing where it's very popular to make fun of men who are of a certain set of ideals that are far from fucking ideal, if you ask me. Um, but this idea of toxic masculinity is something I would like to push back against because toxicity is toxicity. It's not masculine. It's not feminine. It's just shitty. I've said this before. I'll say it again. And so what I really like to do is have people understand that it's the pressure to have a certain body type or other attributes is not the sole purview of those who are female or those who present as female or those who, like, no matter where you are, your experiences are going to be different. And I this is not to take away from them. They're not wrong. They're not incorrect. The the maligning of people who are women for just being women is absolute garbage. But also we shouldn't then turn around and then just shit on men for being men. But we also should not accept and live with and allow men to be misogynistic assholes. But at the same time, we also shouldn't recognize that men have feelings. Men are shaped as young boys and then as adolescents and going through puberty in certain ways. And we can do that better. We can do it better. And yes, there's going to be some hard lessons learned by people, no matter what their gender is, no matter where they are. It is just a shit way to treat people, and we shouldn't do it. We should not treat each other in such a shitty way, and we shouldn't tell men that the thing that makes them most masculine is to experience zero emotion and to not take it too personally. Journey is saying something. I want to see this because I think it's when others use large body humor in a self-deprecating way. You know what? It bothers me, and I do it myself. I use self-deprecating humor often. Um, and I'm trying to stop doing it. Um, I talked earlier about the clickbait things that come up. And I'm attracted to boobs and vehicles. Well, sure I am. Oh, hey Kelly, welcome. welcome to the show. You came in just in time. And that last comment was not directed at you, despite the fact that you're from Detroit, which is Motor City. That was just that was just a fine coincidence. The other thing that I have seen, and I get a lot of things to click on, is there's a number of large comedians um, who use self-deprecating humor and talk about living in a large body, and some of it's pretty funny. Some people even think that I'm amusing at times. I did a presentation a couple of months ago. I don't remember. I guess it was in the summertime. I did a presentation, and people were commenting on how funny I was giving my ad hoc presentation. I talked about, like, you know, I look at myself, like, I see myself on a screen here, and I'm like, who is this fat guy talking to you? Because I don't just think of myself as a fat guy. And I don't usually use the word fat. I actually consider fat to be a slur. I'll talk about that in a minute too. And Commander, you're damn straight. George Carlin's a comedian, and George Carlin did actually some, I would say, almost fat phobic comedy. But Don't Be an Asshole is a pretty good fucking George Carlin Bible. And even if he made mistakes, and we all make mistakes. We just do. We just do. And Commander, have you met Kelly? I don't know if I've seen you guys together, but Kelly has been a great, to me, a new member of the community. Who's and they have a channel and everything. But yeah, Kelly has been on Java and Jugs, or is Jugs and Java? I can't remember. Anyway, I like Jugs, and I drink a lot of coffee. I did a little channel post this morning with my nearly destroyed Yeti cup with its shocked face. I hope people will go and see that and give it a like too. So I'm thinking of folks like Gabriel Iglesias, John Panette. There's a couple of others um, that they do self-deprecating humor, and they talk about what it's like to be in a big body, and they use humor to do it. And that's not always wrong. That's not always a bad thing. I also Nelly Furtado is a singer from Canada who's I believe of Portuguese ancestry. So she was very popular here in, I think, the late '90s, early 2000s. I don't think she ever became not popular. But I got a video post, and I'm like, oh, that's Nelly Furtado, and I guess she gained some weight and then lost some weight. And the video was all about how amazing it was that she lost the weight. Well, the thing is, she did not. She did not lose any of her talent by being in a larger body. She was still an amazing singer. They showed pictures of her on stage, dressed to the nines, absolutely killing it, and not being any less attractive than she was in a smaller body. I guess to some people, right? Maybe, like, I'm not telling people to be attracted to me because I live in a large body, or other people because they do, but people's attractiveness, who they are, their personality, everything like that, that is not tied to one's size. It is not tied to the amount of excess adiposity that you have. We are so much more than that. And to pretend that men have no value judgments on them for their size is just wrong. Um, there's maybe a little bit more leeway given to men. And one of the things I've said, this is one of the things I've said many times to other people, and I get a lot of nodding and agreement in small groups, but not something people want to talk about openly, is that men often feel like they are valued, if they can't be valued for how they look, like being a super handsome Adonis kind of guy that's good at sports, they're valued for having a lot of fucking money. And that is such a terrible look at our society. And um it's offensive to men and who they are as people and what their value is as a person. And it's fucking offensive to women. um and I realize that also could be offensive in other ways, because I realize people aren't just cis hetero. And I'm cis hetero, so, like, I guess I'm cis heteronormative in my thinking. But we we are able to be attracted to and have relationships with people outside of what is portrayed to us in popular media. And when I've seen some of the ways people are speaking about entire genders in such a derogatory and dismissive way, it's disheartening, because women aren't all just how they look, and men are not just their earning power or how they look or whether or not they're good at football or basketball or hockey. Those things seem to be pretty superficial. And honestly, um, life is hopefully long, and superficial attractiveness is great. And the thing is, like, I I don't know. Maybe I'm strange in this regard, that I'm attracted to far more than just a person's outward appearance, because there's a lot more to it than that. But we can't deny that outward appearance catches our eye. That would be stupid of me to say something like that. I'm not going to say that. But in an instant, we see someone, and in my case, we see someone in a larger body, and we make this value judgment. Like, that person is lazy. That person doesn't contribute to society. They live with disease. And I think I started talking about this woman I ran into on what's that thing called? LinkedIn. It's like the sort of Facebook for professionals that's pretending to be a job market and a chat room. And I don't fucking know what LinkedIn is. I'm not good at using it. I'm on LinkedIn. I don't share it here because it kind of doxes me. But if you're a close friend of mine and you want to find me on LinkedIn, just reach out to me on Discord. I'll share it. Especially if you're interested in healthcare. Most of my contacts there are in the health wellness and patient advocacy space. Um, and there's probably going to be a few people there from like my old career when I was in construction too, but that I don't interact with, other than the ones that are sort of friends of mine or not. I don't that we've remained friends since then, right? Thanks for posting that, Tori. Yeah, check out Kelly. Was See, yeah. So you're saying with, I think maybe you meant celebrities, but maybe I'm just not reading this word right. Celebers. I'm assuming that's celebrity. Been in a situation where you've been seeing somebody, um, not physically my type. It seemed, yeah. So, and that's the thing, right? That is, and Tori shared Kelly's link there, and I like to push other people's stuff. It is important that we all promote and see each other's content, and so I guess what I'm gonna do in my book is I'm gonna talk about how it feels really shitty to be told that you're not attractive, and that the reason you're not attractive is because you don't weigh the right amount, or that your adipose tissue distribution isn't correct because it's not what the average is. Um, who the fuck wants to be average anyway? And I don't know. It must be pretty. Being the average person must be a weird place to be, because like there's only one average person, or maybe like a few of them, and the rest of us are on one side or the other of average. The thing is there a positive and negative side of average? Because, like, I mean, people are people. I was thinking about this a lot yesterday, and I can't remember why, but something I listened to brought me to this. And a lot of people think about height as being like sort of something that just is what it is. And I remember what it was. It was people on a show. It wasn't a show from the atheist community or from the healthcare or anything like that. It was from, I don't remember. It might have been MLM or something. I think people were just talking about how tall they were, or how short they were, or whatever. And it was a lot of women were talking about it. And I was thinking about this. It's like, for men, you're supposed to be like a certain height, and I'm about an average height male in my area. I wouldn't be in the Netherlands where people are way taller on average, but I'm not a super tall guy. I'm 5'8". Um, but I'm really, really big. Like, I don't know if people can see how broad my shoulders are. Um, but despite, like, I also have like this huge belly. I have like this terrible, um, visceral adiposity, and it's not a good thing. Thank you, Tori, for spreading all the great channels here. You're modding, excellent. Cheers. I'm still drinking the dihydrogen monoxide. I needed a big sip there. I'm drying myself out with all this talking. So I'd like to know if people are people can comment now. And I don't know how many male or masculine people we have in the chat. Oh, did Dave just crack 600? Way to go, Dave. That's awesome. That's awesome. I started out earlier in the stream talking about how I'm at 197, 3 away from 200. So I'm working my way up to 200 subs. And when I hit 200 subs, I'll do one of those fun things. And I'm just like, I remember Dave celebrating something recently that I joined in on, but I don't think it was 600 subs. I think was it your birthday, Dave? I can't remember. I remember being on your channel a month ago or so. Um, and I was working late and I was able to call in and chat for a short time. That was fun. I don't always get to do that. Dave also does a show on Saturday nights. Brainless is usually there. A few other people are usually there. And it's just a fun time, and I listen to it sometimes. But Saturday nights are often the night that I get to hang out with my family. So I'm often not on YouTube as much. It depends on where I am and what I'm up to. And I'm kind of looking forward to getting back out on the road for some longer runs and doing some heavier stuff. But right now, I'm doing this. I'm talking to people. I've done this for an hour. So I'm gonna wrap this up shortly. Yeah, Dave is a great supporter of people in the community. He shows up all over the place, and without hopefully oversharing on Dave's behalf. Dave's been going through some major health concerns of late, and has been getting them treated, and it's been a lot. And people have been super supportive towards him. There's not a lot we can do. We can't be his doctors and make him better, but we can wish him well, and we can support him, and we can offer him a place to chat. And Dave, I don't know if I've reached out about this directly. I probably should have before, but if you need someone to just talk to, you can call me up. You can just go on Discord, find me, phone me on Discord, and if I'm not busy doing something else, I'll pick up. My phone will ring. If you want to have a chat about what it's like to just live with disease, because it's a rough thing. I'll send you a note privately about that. But and that goes for anybody. I'm happy to talk about what a mind fuck it is to find out that something isn't right. Because I was told that at 23. I was told you've got one kidney, it's struggling, and here you are. You got to figure this out. And it kind of was a sleeper thing for a long time, and then in 2018, it came down like a ton of bricks and fucked up my life. Um, and which was a good thing too, because that my first ever experience dealing with that let me know that our healthcare system wasn't broken, but wasn't perfect and needed some attention. And it got me involved, and getting involved in that has been one of the most, other than having my family, most fulfilling thing in my life. My wife, my children. And I enjoy trucking. I enjoy science. I enjoy all sorts of things. But working with people to make a difference in people's lives, people that are usually at some of their most vulnerable points in life, um, trying to make that better for them is really, really great. And so I've been working with Obesity Canada, Obesity Matters, and Diabetes Action Canada. Those are all places I work as a volunteer. Some of them, and full disclosure, some of them have paid some of my travel expenses to go places. And I've really appreciated that. And last year I was in the first cohort of the fellowship for Diabetes Action Canada, and they're doing the second one right now. And I reached out to the lady that runs that the other day because I was thinking about her. And I said, hey, when you've got a chance to talk, I know you're busy getting ready, because in November, I believe, is when they do the big conference. for that. And if they're having it close enough to home, I'd love to be able to slip over there for a day and go meet those folks, and say hello to them. So, um, if there's a chance I can do that, I will try to do that, and I'll share about my experience. I did do a little bit of work with them earlier this year to give some input. My work schedule has been insane. I'm trying to enjoy getting a little bit of rest today, but I'm also enjoying communicating with people, having a chance to do a live stream. And I know that there's other live streams coming up. I'm pretty sure Ember's doing a live stream this morning. I think I saw that flash across my settings, and YouTube seems to be getting me at least Ember's stuff. She's an amazing community member, just an amazing friend, an amazing speaker on so many issues, so many topics. Just yeah. Oh yeah, Dave. Dave, you do not need to apologize to anyone about not being online as much. It is a lot. Oh, 18 minutes. So Kelly's going to be on there. So if you haven't seen Kelly before, I mean, if you've been watching Ember and Java and Jugs, you've seen Kelly a couple of times, I would think. But not everybody can do that. Not everybody's online at the same time. And StreamYard does remind you to welcome and talk to your future guests and future guests. Here's to it. I hope you're enjoying it. Hopefully, my voice is coming through loud and clear. Hopefully, its quality is at least somewhat okay. Yeah, time zone difference for sure. Yeah, because Commander was in the eastern half of the USA for a long time, and we were on. I'm 99% sure it was always the same time zone, Commander, unless you were trucking far off. Commander, also a fellow trucker. Um, they are an amazing community member, and also super talented with like computer graphics. Um, You found this community throughout. Yeah, Ember is awesome. And I was thinking about that the other day. One day this week I was listening to someone talk about Ember and how great they are and how well they connected. And Ember, I'm sure, is the connection I have to a few people. Joe the Kentucky Atheist, definitely I met through Ember. And I wrote my very first song that like, not the first time I ever wrote lyrics for a song. The first time I wrote one and made it into something was Joe the Kentucky Atheist was talking about um how what are they called, what's fucking um banana cream pie there guy, what's his name? Roy, not Roy, Ray Comfort. Ray Comfort. Thank you, Tori. Can you put that in the if you don't mind, Tori, if you have the link to that, put that stream in there. Sadie, Ember, and Kyle, they need our help. They need our help. And yeah, absolutely. Ember is she's just an amazing person all around. And I know I met Joe through that. I know I made my Banana Man song for Joe. And so I can thank both of them for giving me some inspiration there. And that's kind of how these things have come together, right? I come back, start producing content. I'm gonna. Oh, the last nice to religious people. You're gonna be the last because okay, you're that kind of nude. Okay, um, Commander, um, I am wondering if you're doing speech to text because some of those words don't make sense. But either you're gonna be nice to religious people in the nude, whether that means you're in the nude or they're in the nude, I'm not sure, or you're going to make content to be least nice to the religious people because you're in that kind of mood. I don't know. I'm no I'm no savant in the reading of what I think is speech to text. I've done speech to text while I'm driving because like I could have my phone there and I just press the button and say something and hope it comes through. And you know what? I have no idea if it comes out because people may comment back to me, and I hope people realize when I'm driving, if I'm commenting and I'm like, I'm not ignoring you, I just can't read what you're saying. But sometimes I'm hearing what the content is, and I'm like, I have something I want to say about that, And my voice isn't the most important voice, but sometimes I just want to say something. And oh, okay, that's fine. Thank you for doing that, Tori. Appreciate that. Yeah, because if you know what, if the stream isn't already made, and on their channel is an upcoming stream, then there's nothing to post. And I guess I just assumed it would be at this time. And that was not necessarily a smart thing. But it's tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, which would be 6 Central and 5 Mountain and 4 Pacific. I think, did I do the math right on that? I think that's right. And that would be at 8:30 in Newfoundland. So I hope there's a few newfies watching. And I said I was going to touch on a topic, and I guess I've been going on for a long time. I'll try to do this in 5 minutes. One of the topics that I don't like to get hung up on words to the point where we can't use words, but the word fat, F-A-T, that is a word that has been used as a slur against people in larger bodies for a long time. And I realize people don't necessarily consider it a slur, and lots of people in large bodies use it, including myself sometimes. And I talked about self-deprecation. The thing is, and this is something I read a long time ago, and this is something I want to share with people. You look at me, and say, "There's a fat guy." Okay, yeah, I mean, it's a reasonable description, but I am not fat. I have fat. I have excess adipose tissue. I have a metabolism and genetics that brings me to um, where my body likes to sit, and I have to fight harder than most to deal with that. And it's become more and more common for people to live with excess adiposity. And obesity is a disease that definitionally isn't about your BMI. It's about whether or not you have excess adipose tissue distribution that affects your health in any way at all. If you happen to have a more subcutaneous distribution and very little visceral fat distribution, that is oftentimes not deleterious to your health. You can have that, and people may see you in a larger body and think you're obviously unhealthy, and that isn't necessarily true. It also doesn't mean that you're not active. It doesn't mean that you eat trash all the time. Oh, thank you, Tori. That's amazing. You did find it. Okay, that is fantastic. So this is the one here. Let me know if this works, because yeah, there it did show up, right? Okay, so this is the link to and so what we're doing is there's a stream to help raise funds for some folks in our community that are having a very rough time for a number of reasons. And I know what that's like, and I wish I had extra cash right now. I'm literally um today going to be figuring out exactly where I have any cash stuffed, including my couch cushions, to make sure I pay my mortgage on Friday. My boss has been exceedingly generous to me and allowed me to get a partial paycheck for doing no work whatsoever, which I will work off over the next several weeks. Um, which is stressful too, knowing that you're in debt in an extra way. But I'm really, really thankful to have that kind of support, so that I know that it's going to be a lot less hard to do. Um, but I literally have to take every dime I have and put it into that. I have commitments that I can't not make. If I can find anything extra, I'm going to try to send it over. Um, and I hope that people can, but I don't. Nobody wants us. Nobody wants us to go into tremendous debt or hurt ourselves to help others. Um, but if you're in a position where you can help, it's greatly appreciated. Um, I know these folks are having a very rough time. So many people in the community are being maligned for no good reason and having extra difficulties over and above what anyone else is going through. And that's not the way life ought to be. And so that's why I want to talk about the word fat. So fat is a descriptive word sometimes of a type of substance that exists in the natural world. It's a type of molecule. It's a type of tissue. And it's something that's absolutely necessary. It's an excellent source of nutrients, and it's calorically dense, and it helps people live. It's a very important part of our nutrition. And when it's used in that regard, it's certainly not a slur. And unlike other slur words that we use to describe people, it's maybe not as cutting to people that aren't experiencing it. I think other words we've been conditioned to see as containing the hate and disregard for the person that they're aimed at, and so we've stopped using them. And hopefully, I'm hoping that we can stop using the word fat as a descriptor or a name for someone living in a large body, because it does not hit nicely. The way it's used, the derision, the tone that's often used with it is not good. It does not it does not help people. And I have heard lots of people say the reason people are living in large bodies, the reasons they live with obesity, the reasons they live in an overweight condition are because they just don't know. And we're going to help them. We're going to help them in multiple ways by treating them like shit. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to let them know that they're not welcome in our society. We're going to let them know that we don't like the way they look and that they're unattractive, and we're going to let them know that they're sick and terrible, and we're going to let them know that they are less than by making sure they're labeled this way, and all of that is going to help them because they won't want to be those things, and so they're just going to become average and thin, or both. I'm not really sure. I don't know if the average person is thin. Ember's show is starting now, so you should stop watching this. But I'm going to finish this up, and I don't know how to send people to Ember's show other than to say go there. But if you'll allow me a couple more sentences, I would prefer, and it would be a great favor to me, to stop using the word fat to describe and label people. We have fat tissue, but we aren't our fat tissue. And someone said it as you aren't fat, you have fat, and we all do. If you don't, you will die. I have too much, and I may die because of it. I hope not. I'm going to try to deal with that again. I've dealt with it so many times, and the cure has made the disease worse. I've done the things I've been told to do, and it hasn't worked out well for me. And I'm looking at it again with medical supervision. I'm going to try at least this more time to do it. I need 1K subs. Okay, well I'm only 803 short. So please don't do that. Yeah, please run, Kelly, go get there. And yeah, you will. It'll be nice to keep meeting Kelly and other great people in the community. So this is the thought I'm leaving you with. Try to think of the word fat as a slur, because when people that have been called fat hear it, we're not hearing it in a nice way. We're hearing it as a you're less than, you're not welcome here, we don't like you this way, and we do not want to interact with you because of the way that you look, because of the way tissue has accumulated on your body. That's not a good thing to hear. And it is all, thank you for posting that, Tori, because that's a great way for people to jump over there. And if you're watching in the future and you click that, you can just jump over there and watch what she's doing. I want to go listen to Ember's show too while I do some things. So I'm going to wrap this up, and you will maybe see me in the chat. I'm going to be kind of busy. I got some stuff I got to do, but I'm going to end this here, and I'm going to say, um, please think about the words that you use and how you use them and what's meant by them. And even if you don't mean harm by it, and you just think it's a great word, think about maybe that word is hitting people hard in the wrong fucking way. And let's think about a kinder way to treat people in large bodies. And let's not stop there. Let's treat everyone with kindness and acceptance, and realize everyone's on their own path. Everyone has their own shit to deal with. Thank you, Maya. I will be safe. I hope everyone out there has a great day and that the roads are running well for you. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope to see you again soon.